For those who've been keeping up with Pokemon, you'll know that the Pokemon Company has been outputting these streams that are called Pokemon Presents, where they're making some major announcements surrounding this IP. Last week, we got the June 17th Pokemon Presents, which, according to Games Radar, brought with it a ton of exciting news, including the announcement of Pokemon Smile and Pokemon Cafe Mix, 2 small games for Switch and mobile devices, information about the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the most exciting bit, a new Pokemon Snap title. Hell yes, I grew up on Pokemon Snap, so that was indeed a very exciting announcement, and the trailer itself looks really awesome. The graphics, the visuals, the presentation, it's all very reminiscent of the memories I have of Pokemon Snap, but enhanced. And so that was a really good presentation, actually. But at the end of that June 17th presentation, Tsunekazu Ishihara said, "That's all for today, but there is another big project that we're working on and that I would like to show you soon." And with that came the announcement that on June 24th, they'd be hosting another Pokemon Presents. They did just that, and people expected, hey, maybe it's an even bigger announcement than a new Pokemon Snap. Maybe there's something even more exciting in store, given how hyped this was with the mention of another big project. So people were pretty pumped to see what they had in store. Well, today is June 24th. The presentation happened, and here's what we got. It is a mobile/Switch Pokemon MOBA game by Tencent. That was the big announcement. After kicking off strong with the last Pokemon Presents, this is what they decided to showcase as the big announcement. And you can see right here from the likes to dislikes ratio that people were not amused by how hyped this presentation was, only to spend the entire 11 minutes or so talking about this Pokemon-themed MOBA title. And yeah, a lot of people seem to think that it looks a lot like League of Legends. Maybe this would have gone a lot better had this game been announced alongside some other titles that people actually look forward to when they watch these presentations, because the people who tune in to these direct style streams and, you know, Pokemon themed streams aren't the ones who play mobile games. They're the core fans who are into titles like Pokemon Snap and the core Pokemon games. So the tone deafness of this lies in the fact that they touted a big announcement only to show a mobile MOBA game, a title that nobody really asked for. Even if this could potentially be fun and interesting, nobody asked for a MOBA, so this should have been sort of a side thing they could have presented alongside all of these other titles if they would have formatted it that way, kind of like how Bethesda announced Elder Scrolls Blades in that E3 conference, where they also announced, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield. Then this could have been mitigated. The fact that they made a huge deal out of a mobile game, that right there is a very Diablo Immortal type of move. Recall that back in, I believe it was BlizzCon 2017, when they made a whole song and dance about this mobile game. They closed with Diablo Immortal and made it to be the big announcement of the event, and it was just incredibly tone deaf because core fans of Blizzard don't attend BlizzCon to see a mobile game be the big announcement of the show. And so that really is the core issue here. That's why so many people are pissed. The fact that they were hyped to expect a big announcement from Pokemon only to get a game that the core Pokemon fans really don't care that much about. And it is free to play, so a lot of people already have a lot of skepticisms here and there surrounding the microtransactions that they might implement. So the way this game works is that instead of towers, you have these goal posts, essentially. And the way you score points is by catching Pokemon in the wild. You defeat the Pokemon, they score a certain amount of points, they get caught in Pokeballs, and you take those caught Pokemon and score them in these goal posts that replace towers in a traditional MOBA. And if you score enough points in an opponent's goalpost, then that goalpost becomes useless for the opposing team that would be able to use that tower to heal but when you capture that tower or score enough points on it, that tower can no longer be used by the opposing team to heal. And same applies to you. If they score enough points on your goalposts, then those cannot be used to heal. And that's how you make forward progress in this take on MOBA. And the whole point is that there is a timer that runs down, and by the end of the game, the team with the most points wins. And so that's kind of what they're going for here. It's very much a less complex, more simplified, easier to get into type of MOBA experience. Beyond that, each individual Pokemon has, skills that you can give them, moves that you can give them as they level up. And those moves are, of course, from the Pokemon series, and some of these Pokemons evolve even. So this doesn't look like the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's also, again, just not what people wanted out of a Pokemon Presents presentation that was touted as featuring a big announcement for the Pokemon IP. This is a big deal, obviously, for the Pokemon company, because they're going to make boatloads of money off of this, but it's not a big deal for the audience that Pokemon Presents appeals to, and that's why you scroll down through the comments and you'll find people saying stuff like they easily could have just put this announcement into the last one. 100% agreed. This has got to be the greatest disappointment ever. And then here are comments from the trailer uploaded to YouTube, people saying stuff like, this looks more like a knockoff than the actual knockoffs. I didn't expect anything from this presentation and I still got disappointed. This shouldn't have been called a big project when it really isn't. They should have included this in the announcements last week. A lot simpler, then people wouldn't have been so furious or felt misled. Going on Reddit, you're going to find threads titled, disappointed again. Pokemon is starting to get really disconnected with their fans. Today proves how out of touch Pokemon Company are. I feel so let down. So on and so forth. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. So here are some of the things people had to say. I was too optimistic. We got some random strategic game nobody wants. I just watched the dislikes go from 314 to 9,000 or even more in minutes. They could have announced this with everything else, but they hyped us up. You do a completely different presentation. You expect more than a free-to-play Pokemon game nobody wants. Here's another post that's shorter and more brief that reads, I hate to say it, today's announcement wasn't bad or anything, but I feel like this is going to end up being another one of their free-to-play games that ends up with shut down servers from lack of interest. They're so desperate in finding the next Pokemon Go, they just slap their franchise on anything. I think it's really starting to hurt their brand. Now, from what I understand, MOBA titles in China, MOBA mobile titles in China are very popular, so attach that with a Pokemon brand, and I get the sense that this game's actually going to perform really, really well. I think this is going to make Nintendo boatloads of money, especially with it appealing to the Chinese market so heavily, clearly. Here's another Reddit comment. I completely blame them for the incoming backlash. They dedicated an entire Pokemon Presents to a shitty mobile game that no one asked for, and on top of that, made us wait a week, allowing fans' imaginations to go wild. And this individual added, the only issue I have is they act like this is a big announcement. They must have known that this doesn't warrant a separate live stream. And finally, we have this individual saying, I feel so let down. Nobody asked for this. Pokemon Unite, really? Free to play? So it's full of microtransactions. A separate presentation for this, knowing that Pokemon fans would be expecting something huge. I feel so let down. It doesn't even look enjoyable. So much lag. Ugh. I don't know what else to say. And then here's one more comment that added, I bet Tencent pay them big money to get a separate hyped up presentation. They make shit tons of money through predatory microtransactions riddled games aimed at kids. Pokemon is the biggest franchise out there and it's aimed at kids. A lot of kids no doubt will try this game out given it has the Pokemon brand on it, and it'll be riddled, I guarantee, with microtransactions. I guarantee you it's not going to be particularly consumer-friendly on that front, given Tencent's history, and given Nintendo's own history with mobile games that do have these loot box mechanics that are damn insidious. Both of these companies have a shady mobile history, and so yes, they're showing us the core mechanics and gameplay here, but they aren't talking about the microtransactions, because of course they want to keep that kind of low-key and highlight the core gameplay mechanics that will be marred and tarnished. The gameplay loop will be tarnished by the crippling effects of monetization, the fact that they introduce issues on purpose so that people have to pay for the solution. They make things grindier than they should be. They make the gameplay just less ideal for players who don't pay up. So yeah, there's just plenty of reasons for why people are disappointed with this, but a lot of fans would have not cared had this been a side announcement, as was Pokemon Cafe and Pokemon Smile if they had just put this announcement in last week's Pokemon Presents, then it would have just kind of been forgotten about. People would have talked about it for a bit, but they would have been more hyped about this new Pokemon Snap. So this is where we're at with this story, ladies and gentlemen. Fans all around are pretty pissed, and Nintendo was definitely incredibly tone-deaf to announce this game the way they did. So that's my take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Pokemon Unite. Yeah, I really do think it's a game core Pokemon fans didn't ask for. It's very clear that they're just trying to cash in on the Pokemon brand. But yeah, share your takes in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.